Oh, that is so disturbing. Okay.
All right, what's up, folks? Welcome to Foreign and Domestic. It is good to be here. Good to see the folks out there. And we have some good people on the panel with us tonight. But we'll get started off right. Alan, please, sir.
All right. Absolutely. Good to see everybody so far. Let's see what this has to say.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Awesome, awesome. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing very, very well. Very well. It just took me back just a second because that particular recording, um, two of those kids in that recording are now awaiting children. So yeah, it's been a hot minute. It's definitely been a little bit of time since
Well,
we got this
there's not
whole
much to do. So I
shit
mean, what do you
show
expect,
provided.
bro?
Let's see. According to the YouTube participants list, we've got Daniel, God is my judge, Edward Petty, Kyle, the illustrious Pops Quest, SKS Hugo, Tactical FUD out there. Good to see people jumping in so far early on, having a great day. Got the gunpowder beauty out there. How you doing? Um, yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Jamie, how you doing, brother?
Pretty good, man. Thanks for having me. Always look forward to hanging out with you guys on Sunday evening. Went to my son's place and he had ribs and smoked chicken, and we watched the Falcons get beat today, which is nothing new. You know, we're used to it by now. But fun hanging out with him. He's fixing to hit the road and he'll be gone for work for at least a week, if not two. So that's always good to see your kids. There's Hot Pot. What's up, Gene?
Battle Beam, what's going on, brother?
Yeah, hey, what's going on? Good afternoon or good evening to you guys out there in the East Coast. I just decided to join the folks here today and see how everybody's doing. I don't know, just looking forward to 2 hours of hopefully being a very productive and shit showish type of show. But we'll see how that goes. So,
I love your enthusiasm. Rob, how you doing, man?
Yeah, doing all right. A little disgruntled after having to spend unexpected money this week, but that happens sometimes. So, but other than that, not bad.
Awesome, man. Yeah, we'll get into that here in a little bit. So, yeah, yeah, the cost of shit's definitely ridiculous, but oh, there you go. Gunpowder was overseeing roll call. Nice, nice. Hopefully he's doing a little bit better. I know he was having a rough time there for a minute. And Gene's going to Talladega, so drive safe, man. All right. So, Alan, how was your week, man? What you been up to this week? Did you get anything done?
Well, well, I did receive a couple of things this past week. Um, I did receive for the Shadow 2 A&R design holster. Um, this particular guy I did attach a Safariland fork to. This is being for the Shadow 2 compact. per the recommendation of Daniel God is my judge. And so far, I am digging it. I'm absolutely digging it. She's definitely pretty. Um, so got that going on there. So that and from the guys over at Metgar, I did just pull out of the package, mind you. Okay, so a couple of new TZ mags. For the Shadow 2, those things have been hard to come by, and I'm not quite sure why. And I also received a new book this week, Astrophysics for Anti-Soul Souls. Yes, exploring the universe while avoiding human contact. So
You notice he's
yeah,
not that smart. He hasn't even fucking opened that thing and read it. That shit got no crease on that book.
I mean, my name's on the book, so I mean, really, what's the point?
Yeah, but you gotta make it seem like your content is good. You know?
Oh well, it's an absolutely phenomenal book, absolutely phenomenal, chock full of layman's ways of describing astrophysics for antisocial people. I mean, that's why it's named what it is.
Wow, so creative.
If you've never dabbled in astrophysics, I would encourage it.
Dabble.
It's very entertaining. I absolutely it's just one of my hobbies.
I think I should dabble into it.
To me, astrophysics is out there in the realm of how a Kydex holster could be described as pretty. I don't get it.
So for the folks out there, how much is the new book?
Well, this particular copy is 10 payments of $9.99.
Now, is that signed and hand delivered and all that good shit?
Well, I mean for an extra $9.99, I'll sign it and send it free shipping, but I mean,
I think that's a hard pass, buddy.
I'm sorry. Did you say it was $9.99?
yes, 10 payments of $9.99. If you would like a signed copy, I will send a signed copy for an extra $9.99.
So if I send you $9,
that's the paperback.
That's
the paperback. You're not going to get the hard. You're not going to get the hard copy. That's the paperback.
Which means he's.
I mean, the guy's got to be able to afford.
Yeah,
the guy's got to be able to afford primers somehow.
yes, which means that he's going to take the paperback to Kinko's and make copies of it, put it in a folder, and ship it to you.
So Kyle's asking if there's any picture illustrations. So I guess for some folks that can't read, do you have pictures in there?
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint, but my graphic artist, well, they don't exist. So no, there is no pictures in this book. None.
So you're only gonna read one page a day, Kyle. Okay, you'll get that.
That's what you're going to have to do if you're going to be reading the book, as long as it's going to take for you to pay for it. Right? 9 payments of $9.99. Is that once a week or once a month or quarterly or?
That's that's every tri-weekly.
Hey man, you should have that Columbia House.
You want to try to make those payments weekly. Tri-weekly.
Hey man,
okay.
You know you should have that Columbia House fucking payment deal. 3 cents. We'll send you some shit. And then we expect you to pay in the next 3 months. For all you oldies but goodies, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yep.
Daniel wants one
Being how,
signed by the camera.
supposedly ScrewTube believes that we sell everything here during this chat. I just figured
Yes.
I'd give myself a self-plug there.
Yes, use a hoe, Alan. It's okay.
Go ahead, Jamie.
I was just saying Daniel wants a copy signed by the camel.
Yeah, that one I can actually make happen. But Daniel doesn't want to pay that much. I guarantee it.
Now, if you're sending one signed by the camel, is it being signed with a dent or is it being signed with poop?
I'm not at liberty to say at the moment. That would be inappropriate for live content, according to YouTube.
Can you at least tell us how many humps this camel has?
Just one. Look at there. Look at there.
You're famous, bro.
Yeah, you are.
You steal G-Web's dog?
No, we have the same doggy. We have the same. We have pups. So whenever G Wes puts stuff on the internet, it's like it's so cool because that dog looks like Bruno.
Now, did that dog magically just appear to you like his did?
No, we bought this one. He was a clearance
Okay.
puppy, but he been a good doggy.
He was on clearance?
Yeah, he was the last one of the litter.
I don't think I've ever heard someone say a dog was on clearance.
Yeah, he's a clearance puppy. Good boy. No, he helps me a lot.
Oh man, just like those Mexicans always trying to get a deal.
Hell yeah. And you know this, man.
So, talking of deals, we have one of the resident cheap bastard on with us. So, what did you spend a lot of money on this week?
Auto parts. So,
Oh, well, yeah,
obviously.
you kind of shit out of luck on that one, buddy.
Yeah. I had to replace radiator and alternator, and it was due for an oil change. So the oil change, that's kind of expected, but radiator and alternator wasn't. So yeah, obviously
Well, how
not
long?
the end of the world, but not thrilled. Last minute out the blue. So seems like every other week something's coming up in life where it's $400-$500, and then you go to the grocery
Well,
store and it's $50 for milk and bread. Not literally, but less than a full grocery bag's $50 easy. You know what I mean? It's just, man,
just the
things are getting
cost of
crazy.
coolant. Just the cost of coolant is painful. I'm like, I went to go flush somebody's cooling system and was like, are you kidding me? It is rape job just for coolant nowadays.
So is
everything's expensive.
Motor oil is getting that way too if you don't go into the Walmart and buy it. You can get those. You can get it in bulk inside the automotive department at Walmart. That's the best way to buy your motor oil. But if you just grab it out of a shelf at a convenience store, it's just south of $10 a quart. And automatic transmission fluid, dude, that's ridiculous.
take out a personal loan.
Yeah.
For AutoZone.
Now, Rob, are you doing the work yourself, or are you paying someone to put all that in for you?
Oh, I did it all myself.
Okay.
So, yeah. So, I mean, either job wasn't difficult. You know, it's just the principle, you know, it's the money. The radiator for this Subaru is about the same price as a radiator for my Chevy pickup, which is twice the size, you know, probably 3 times as thick. You know what I
So how
mean?
old
So
is
it's
your
just kind
Subaru?
of, it was like $200 with tax.
No, how
So,
old is your vehicle?
oh, shit. Oh, wait.
Oh shit, man, you got your money's worth out of that motherfucker. I don't know what you're complaining
Shit, I
about.
just bought it a
Fucking
year
08?
ago.
Get the
That's
fuck
my
out of
new car, man.
here. Dude, you sound like fucking Joe Coy when he starts talking about people in Hawaii. Yo, man, hey, bro, check out my 2010 Toyota Corolla, man. It's cherry, bro. It's cherry, brand new.
Hey, man.
Shit, man, you got your money's worth.
Being
Yeah, I mean,
older could be cheaper, you know what I mean? But
yeah,
it ain't like that. So alternator, same thing with tax and whatnot, basically $200. So
yeah. And the thing
yeah,
about it is, Subaru. So Subarus, those parts are a little bit more expensive, man, than your regular, vehicles and stuff. I don't know why. You figured that they all come from Japan and shit. Why was that shit more expensive? But I've noticed the Subaru stuff is more expensive than Toyota or Nissan or any other Japanese manufacturer.
Well, it could be worse. You could be driving the Beamer.
yeah, no, I wouldn't do that.
Not for long, you won't be.
Right?
Parts for
Yeah, no.
parts for a Beamer are freaking unbelievably pricey.
Yeah, well, Mercedes is priced high for parts, so even Audi isn't cheap. So
I used to own a BMW, absolutely loved the car, but ultimately had to sell it because I do use turn signals and it just wasn't working out for me.
And check this out. There's you another one.
Man, that thing is made in China now, dude. I want to hear it.
I don't want to
Yeah,
hear
but
that
it's
crap
hundreds
either,
of
man.
dollars for anything. That's what
It's made
HD stands for. Hundreds of
$100
dollars for
for a light bulb.
anything.
Yeah. Harley's in bad trouble, and I don't know what they did because I've not actually clicked on any of those videos because
they what is it, that DIE or DIY, that diversity crap or whatever, they got into that. So their new CEO or whatever. Supposedly, I think I heard the guy ended up stepping down recently, but with all the backlash. But basically, marketing to confuse people, I would state. I don't know. And as well, they've made some promises. So I've heard from videos that certain bikes were going to be maintained, kept made here in America, and now recently they're not. So it's kind of yeah, goes against the branding of Harley being an American bike and all this type of stuff. So basically, they've made some promises they're going back on and going woke, as they say, and now they're trying to pull back on it. But yeah, I personally was never a fan because, like he just said, everything's expensive. They're loud and they don't do much. I would rather take a foreign bike, sad to say. So,
Yeah, that whole diversity, equity, and inclusion bullshit is ridiculous, man. And so many companies are struggling because of all the crap they allow to happen now. There's people get away with pretty much anything at this point.
Well, mine is a 2012, and it was made in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, with parts that sourced from the lowest bidder, I'm sure. Hey, Dave Thorzak's. And I'm probably getting out of the motorcycle business altogether.
No, it's sad that the majority of our iconic brands are no longer American anymore. You know,
That is
uh,
sad.
it is very sad.
Or
You
hold
know that.
any of the core values or anything like that as
Yeah,
well. So
they don't anymore. Like one of the ones that really struck me was when Anheuser Busch was sold to the Belgians. I'm like, what the hell were you guys thinking on that shit? And then, of course, these people who have no idea how the market works in the United States, they think that everything is just like in Europe. And then they started this whole freaking Bud Light campaign thing with whatever that thing was, and kind of pretty much almost broke them. You know, it's sad.
I personally think companies should just stick to their business. Honestly, if you sell
Yeah, I
beer,
think
sell beer.
yeah.
Whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So just
There's
buy.
there's a couple of companies that did learn their lesson, and they're doing well. Like Gillette was one of them that started doing the stupid shit, and same thing with Nike, and they both kind of backed off because in the long run, it's not good for business, man. Like you can't have a stance on anything. You got to stay neutral.
Well, most businesses are there to make money. So if you stand any line like that, then you're obviously creating division, which is going to hurt your sales. So it
Yeah.
seems foolish to even bother. Just sell your shit. You know what I mean? Come up with a neutral message, whatever. You're not on any side of any of that political shit. Just go towards the core of it, and push
And
your brand. I don't know.
we've talked about this before too, but customer service has gone to shit in the handbasket as well, and it's just getting worse and worse and worse. You have an issue, and they just don't give a shit. They don't have to anymore.
And it seems to me like, and I don't want to be sound mean, but in reality, you guys have seen this shit too. You call customer service for a company that you thought was American, and all of a sudden you get some Indian dude on the fucking line, and you can't understand half of the shit they're saying to you. And you're like,
Yep.
Yep.
what?
Yep.
And I'm the asshole that goes, "Can I get someone that speaks English, please?" I don't give a
Yep.
fuck.
You see, people would say like, that might be racist or something. It's not really. It's just better understanding communication. I had this at the store like 2 days ago, asking for one of them hat things you throw in your washer to wash a hat. Guy's like, yeah, and brings me over to laundry detergent. Like, dude, you're just wasting my time. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even think speaks English. I don't care necessarily that you're there. But it's the fact you should be able to do your job correctly. Like, and you're on the phone with people and they don't know what the hell they're talking about. It's a pain in the ass and a waste of time.
Yep.
See, this is the thing my granddad taught me when I was young. It's better to be quiet and let people think you're stupid than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. That's what we got going on with some of these companies.
Less is more, man. Less is more.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see it every day. A freaking CEO will do something stupid and just open his freaking mouth, and yeah, it's just insane. Some of the stuff they say and do, or some of the people that they get to do ads for them and all the rest of it.
I mean, the motorcycle industry, the automotive industry, it's very, very sad that all these legacy American brands not only have been sucked up by foreign entities, but are allowing them to fall. They're going to the wayside, and I think it's absolutely insane, but the way they're trying to do it. And you see these trucks that are $120,000, $150,000, or these SUVs that are 80, 90, $120,000. They're not selling them. They're not selling them at all. They're sitting on dealers' lots, just rotting away, and they're wondering why the business is failing.
Well,
People can't buy that shit right now.
it's
People just
because it's
can't.
greed. It's greed. It's this extra fucking money that they want to get out of the consumer, like the dealer sticker, like a dealer's surplus or something like that is called. I forgot the name of it, but it's
They put
stupid, and
money
they
in
don't
the
want
hat.
to, and they don't want to negotiate with you. They're like, okay, they don't even want to give you a vehicle at MSRP. I had the same problem at a Toyota dealership. I was going to buy a Tacoma, and and I was like, getting ready to make a deal, and I told him, hey, look, man, I wanted to buy the vehicle on MSRP because I mean at that time, there wasn't really much anything going on, as far as deals go, and there was a scarce of trucks at that time. And this guy's like, no, oh yeah, it's called the dealer's markup price. That's what it's called. So this guy's like, I told him, hey, I'm willing to do it if you guys can take out the dealer's markup price. And they're like, well, no, we're not willing to do that. We're not even trying to negotiate that. And I was like, screw you then, man. And I went to Nissan, and I've always had Frontiers, so I figured why not. And purchased a Frontier with them, and I purchased it at MSRP. I had no issues because their markup price is about the same thing too, but they're willing to work with you. But it's just I think people need to be educated. People need to understand that $4,000 or $5,000 in a loan over 6-7 years, that adds up, man. That's a lot of money coming out of your pocket. And I think
So
people need
that's
to.
like a full size truck to you.
No, no, I had a full size truck before, but to me, it's like there's not really a need for me to have a full size truck because I don't tow a lot. I don't do anything. I just do little things here and there that require me to have a truck, but nothing major like a full size truck. I mean, people that have full size trucks or they have little weenies or they really need it. One or two.
I
Yep.
see brand new trucks with, big stickers on the sides in my area on the dealership lots where they're saying like 10,000 off MSRP, 9,000 off MSRP. And, as we know, it's because they're all overpriced. But, as some people forget, but I think we brought it up before, like, even if you buy that, you're still getting ripped off because it's already too expensive and they really make their money off the financing. So the truck, the purchase of the vehicle, the profit off that's not where they're getting their big kick. They get their big kick off that financing. And a lot of people are running the financing out for several years now, and not accounting for all the interest that's being put onto that. So now you're paying an extra 15 grand on top of it to finance it, maybe more, depending on the vehicles. But that's where they're really getting their money out of it. So, uh, you know, just because you're getting below MSRP doesn't necessarily mean you're getting a deal. You got to get it on the financing end as well. So, just throwing that out there.
And that's a fact.
Although,
And
Yeah,
that's why people like me and Rob drive 10-year-old cars, and we paid
yeah,
$5,000-6,000 for them.
yep,
well, my Jeep Cherokee has hit 2 years, and the dealership has called me twice this past week, trying to get me to bring it in because they supposedly want to buy it, and I'm like, hey, if you guys aren't going to give me 32 for it, stop calling me, because there's no way I'm going to touch anything else.
Well, and even the price of older trucks nowadays are insane through the roof. They're almost up to freaking new prices on some stuff. I was looking last week there, and saw some used ones that were 20 grand for 2008, 2009. That's just insane, man.
And you're talking about high freaking mileage on these fucking vehicles too. I
No, no,
know.
some of them had fairly low mileage, but I mean that shouldn't affect the price like that, man. That's just nuts.
Yeah, yeah. I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that's going on. But honestly, I don't. I actually love the fact that a lot of these dealerships are hurting right now because they have an overstock of vehicles and they don't know what to do with them, and I love it.
I personally like older vehicles. So I would tell you to go find an older truck, maybe even back to the 90s in good shape. Have anything, drop it off to the mechanic, have it all done, body work. You're going to still spend less than a new truck. Parts are going to be cheaper. They were made to last, it's way different than now. You don't have all the government and cyber intrusion in your vehicle. You're missing some of
Well,
the
and
bells and whistles, but it's old school. You turn the key, it's going to go. You don't have
well,
all this
and that,
shit
that that's
going.
part of the issue we have with newer trucks and stuff like that, newer vehicles is there's so many different computer things in there now. That's where all the money comes in when you need something done because it's all freaking electronic.
Yep. Well, a lot of us, I think, are spoiled. You want everything, every possible option you can get just because they got it and you don't use half of them. I mean, it's almost like the cell phones nowadays where, the
Well,
average guy doesn't need that in his truck to go to work. You really don't. And then half the guys
oh
out
yeah,
there just park
absolutely.
their truck in a parking lot at the factory any damn way. They don't even use it as a truck. Like, it's more of a comfort thing, a status thing, or something like that. So for those people, I mean, it's totally impractical.
I would buy an older vehicle like that, like what you're talking about. The problem is in my state, they don't usually let us keep those kind of vehicles. After a certain amount of time, they're not getting to the point that they're not actually letting them have registration because they're starting to, like in this state over here, that they really do not like classic vehicles. They hate them. So they're trying to do everything they can because they know they can't get money out of you for small checks and all the other nonsense that they like to do. So what do they do now? They said that these cars are not registerable in the state, and that's how they get you. This is the nonsense that we're all having to deal with.
Yeah, they just legislate the vehicles out of being able to being used even. And I mean, all the bells and whistles that they have in vehicles nowadays. My mom just bought a new vehicle and I'm backing it out of the driveway and out of nowhere on the screen pops up this video of somebody backing over a kid on a skateboard and I'm like, "Hey, I didn't even call for that."
Yeah.
Your sense of humor really sucks. I just want you to know that.
I mean,
that
I
shit,
mean,
that shit is so dry. Let me drink something on it. Fuck. God, that shit was horrible.
When you're backing out of a driveway
Fucking
anyway, I mean, is it
horrible.
really the time for a video to play? Shouldn't you be focused on driving?
So there's a good video out there, and it cracks me up. I don't know if she was Japanese or Chinese. I couldn't tell in the video. It wasn't very clear, but she's busy doing her task, and kid walks out in the middle of the road, and the guy goes, "What are you gonna do?" And instead of braking, she floors it, thinking that she's getting extra points.
Cannonball run.
Yeah, most people don't know what Cannonball Run is, man. That was a great movie, by the way. I love it.
Shit, I'd join if I could, man. That's funny.
That's crazy, Big Al.
Yeah, they're trying
Yeah,
to tax everything. They're trying to tax you out of your vehicle. That's all
yeah,
they're doing.
I've heard that before too.
Yep.
And it's yeah.
Yep, they're trying to tax you out of it so that you don't drive it anymore. You don't buy gas anymore and all that crap.
Don't forget, or also a lot of the newer luxury cars, BMW, Tesla, I believe some Mercedes. You got your car comes equipped with everything, but if you want to use it, you got to pay a subscription, which I just blows my freaking mind. Like you already bought it with the car, but now you're gonna have to pay for your AC to come on. Are you shitting me? Like I already bought. It's in the car. It's in my possession. What the hell? Like that
Yeah.
would freak me out. Ford announced they plan on Ford and a couple others. I don't know if it's Stellantis or whatever. Basically, if you're financing and you get behind on payments, they're gonna start playing annoying sounds on your radio. Like, how do they even have that capability? They're gonna do that shit, and then eventually, if you don't make payments with your car reminding you or vehicle, then their final goal is the car will lock you out and drive itself to a recovery service area. Like that's crazy. Like obviously they're not there yet with every model, but with any vehicle that's got OnStar or any of this, any newer vehicle, basically if they want to claim national emergency, you can't drive, they can just shut your car down now. Like the tech's already in your vehicle. It's just whether they use it or not. So I posted a video on this on my channel a while ago, but if you start looking into it, it's amazing. Like all your, most people connect your phones to your cars and stuff. So all that shit, every time you drive down the road is pinging off different towers. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot to this that you just don't voluntarily know about. Like they don't tell you about all that when you buy a car. You're not
Right.
thinking you're giving away your information. Yeah, there's thieves that just want your information. So they'll steal your car to download all your information. They get your banking, address, where you travel, all that shit. Like in
Yep.
some
And
cases, the information is worth more than the car.
they tell you can shut it off, but you really can't.
Yeah. I mean, it's crazy, man. Talk about invasion of privacy. And you pay for it. That's the craziest part about it.
Yeah, it's all good fuel for wanting to drive a 70-something square body. I'll tell you that much.
I have one. '77 C10.
Yeah, I've said it many times, but if I can ever find one that's not going to kill me as far as breaking the bank, which it will, because it's just that way. It's that kind of vehicle. But a 70 Chevelle SS with a 454, oh yeah, baby, all day long. I'll take that.
Man, you got a bad back. You trying to fuck it up even more. Good job.
Yeah, their whole gas goes way down in price, then.
So this is the thing. I saw a video earlier, and I was talking to the boys during the football game this afternoon. They informed me that Chevrolet will now stop making the Camaro, but I've seen a video on a new Chevelle 454. I forget the horsepower, but it's like 450, 500 horsepower. And
Well, I mean, honestly, Camaro doesn't sell that well, man. It hasn't sold that well for years, really. So the fact that they're going to a Chevelle is cool. Now, if they make a Chevette, that's what I'm talking about. Let's get a fabulous right there.
But the video I saw, and this is supposed to be coming out in 2025. So you're looking at, it's fall. We're coming up in the fall, and those cars generally hit the dealer lots, and right about this time of the year, between now and October, and it's this thing. The video looked just like a Camaro. It looked like a Camaro, not a Chevelle. and it's supposed to be that retro styling and all that. And I'm like, no, this is just a Camaro. You threw a big old honking motor in, and you're throwing a Chevelle tag on it and charging us $85,000 for it. Big Al, those 383s are the stuff, man. That is.
Well, I'm not quite sure how Chevy's going to be able to do that. A number of our namesakes have lost their abilities to actually produce V8s because so Ford can still do it, and the reason why Ford can still do it is because they've earned a bunch of tax credits by making a number of economically viable vehicles along with a bunch of battery powered and hybrid vehicles because they really expanded their margin in that era in that area. They're actually allowed the gas credits to be able to produce big V8s anymore. This is why we no longer have the Challengers and the Chargers, because Dodge literally is not allowed to produce them anymore because they don't have the tax credits for it. They got to keep their V8s going in the trucks. And so Stellantis is having a big issue with that because Stellantis wasn't on the ball with this stuff. Ford, on the other hand, that's why right now the Ford Mustang is one of the few V8 sports cars that you can buy that's supposedly American made.
The Camaros that you see now, what we used to call the new Camaros, came out, I don't know, 5 years ago, something like that. A buddy of mine with good credit went down to get one. All hyped up about it. It wasn't the base model. It was one of the quicker ones. I don't know what the model is or whatever. But he went down, talked to him, blah, blah, all that, whatever. Was all ready to go, excited and everything until he got his insurance quote. Now, granted, this is New York State, but he said the insurance was more than the damn car payment. So that's something to keep in mind when you're looking at some of these cars. So, especially the sports cars, depending on your state, even in New York, even if it's a little shit box, 1.3 with a turbo, you're paying more because it has a turbo, even though that turbo is just to get you up over the damn hill or the speed on the highway ramp. So, and you get into a actual sports car, insurance goes up. So keep that in mind. You had a decent record and good credit. So that's another side effect of this.
That's what a lot of manufacturers are leaning towards. That they're going to smaller displacement and running turbo, if not dual turbos. You've got the Toyota Corolla now, and it's 300 horsepower, little economical vehicle, but now they're running, what is it, a 3-cylinder with turboed, and the thing produces 300 horsepower. There's been a couple of instances of these things catching fire, but other than that, that's more the display, more of what the manufacturers are leaning towards is smaller displacement and running turbos almost on everything.
So my stepson bought a 2024 full-size Chevrolet 4-wheel drive, and it has a 4-cylinder turbo in it.
Freaking 2.7. Yep, I know. I would never buy that crap.
Yeah, I don't like the idea because I'd rather have a bigger engine work less hard. I don't know. I'm thinking using the wrong words here than a smaller engine, running at 90% all the time.
Yeah, I'm glad my Frontier doesn't have that shit. Just has a big ass cylinder. It has a 3.8. And I'm glad it has that compared to freaking Tacomas and the little 2.4 with a turbo. Yeah.
I assume it's all for gas mileage. Gives it better rankings on it or whatnot, more points, as you say. So, but I doubt they'll last as long as a decent V8 would.
Oh, you know better, man.
No such thing, man. But we're not paying 99 cents for a freaking gallon of gas like we used to back in the day.
Right before I got my license, Mario, the gas was 33 cents a gallon.
Man, look at that. That's what I'm talking about. Man,
Whoa,
you fill
33
up with
cents.
what? $12 you fill it up with? Something like that?
Do what?
Right before you got your license. So they were just coming out with this stuff we call gasoline.
No, man. When I was a little kid, I used to see gas wars. They'd have gas stations across the street from each other. They would get in gas wars, fighting with each other, the price. I think the lowest I ever saw gas in my life that I remember being a little bitty kid was like 18 cents a gallon.
I think the least I've ever seen it was 79 cents a gallon. That was like back in '84. And I remember that because I remember my uncle who used to sell cars. He bought a brand new 300Z. That's like '84. That's when they first came out. And that's the only car that I've always loved about Nissan is the Z. I've always been a big aficionado of that car. And I remember, I think he paid like 80 cents or 82 cents for premium. And I remember that because we were at the gas station filling it up. And he was complaining about it back then. Can you imagine?
See, right. I got my learner's license in '77. Got my driver's license in '78 in August, and right before I got my learner's, gas prices doubled, and it was Chessboard said he got gas for 16 cents a gallon back when he first got his license. That's unbelievable. And of course, back then, yeah, you got these big old honking motors, and they just, yeah, they'd suck gas. Gas actually had lead in it, so cars would last 10 years, But the whole industry has changed so much. But right before I got my license, we had the Arab oil embargo in 1974, and in '77 when I got my learners, gas prices had just doubled. So we went from 33 cents a gallon to like 60, 68, 69 cents a gallon, and then it went back down to about 55, and it kind of settled there about 50, between 55 and 60 cents per gallon of gas. But you also got to remember too what we were actually making for wages in the '70s.
Now, when you got your learner's permit, I didn't realize they did learner's permits for horse-drawn carriages.
Yeah, back when gas was that cheap, I didn't even think they had licenses. Shit.
Did you have the one for 4 horses or 2 horses?
That's a good question, Mario, because if you had 4 horses, you had to have tail bags,
That was the upgrade model.
No, that's something else you had to do if you had 4 horses. You can't be leaving that kind of a mess on the streets.
Got it. Yeah, I could see that being an issue.
Wow, the good old days.
Yeah, nowadays, I don't think there's been one time that I've filled the truck up in the past 6 months that it's not been at least $60, and that's for a half tank.
Another thing that's kind of been disturbing too, guys. I watched this documentary about the new prince of Saudi Arabia or whatever. Apparently, this guy has spent a ridiculous amount of money on defense and all the other stuff. And in many cases, he's kind of overspent money to the point now that he's in trouble with the king, and it's costing him some rift. And the prediction was that if this continues, that most likely he's going to end up having to, because he's also part of the board of OPEC. Then most likely the price of a barrel of petroleum might go up even more because this guy pretty much messed up. And now, some way, somehow, he's trying to get his money back. And the way he's going to get his money back is by raising the prices, doing less production with OPEC, and those other stuff. Now, if Trump becomes president, ain't no thing, because he's already halfway through with that pipeline with Canada. So if that happens, I guarantee you he's going to expedite that sucker real quick. So that way we can at least get, fuel from Canada. But if for some reason Heckle Jekyll becomes freaking president, it might get ugly. It might get dicey.
Well, they're talking about fracking, they're talking about drilling, they're talking about using a lot of our own natural resources, and we can. The issue truly resolves around our refineries. The refineries that we have here in the United States don't refine the oil that we actually can produce. And so that actually has to go over to the Middle East in order to get produced into gasoline, in order to get sent back to us. Our crude is a different type of crude, essentially, in the most simplest way for me to be able to put it. And so one thing that they're not talking about is updating our refineries to the way the world operates now, because they have the abilities over there. They have the refineries that actually will work on all these different types of crude.
I heard that it's more than upgrading. Basically, the upgrade cost would be, it wouldn't make sense to upgrade. It would make more sense just to build a new one. But the problem is with, the EPA and all that stuff here, no large company wants to do that. So that is a big problem. And he's 100% right, where a lot of our oil, like our refineries can't handle. So it seems like, it would behoove us to make refineries that we can handle, so we don't have to be, depending on other people and sending stuff back and forth and making deals. So
so that's part of my belief in what Trump is talking about when he's talking about some of these cuts and regulations, is because these regulations have gotten so stringent and so over the top, that you look at all these other giants around the globe, and we're paling in comparison because we're choking ourselves with regulations. And I believe that's what he's actually talking about when he's talking about breaking down some of these
one of the parts.
What is he really trying to tell you there, Mario? What's he trying to tell you?
Like he wants to play. That's why. And I'm not playing with him. He's getting mad because I'm over here sitting. You don't understand. No,
you on TV, you famous.
You tell him, buddy.
One of the parts that cracks me up about all this is we're willing to trade with people that have less regulation than we do. Transfer that back, pay for the fuel and everything it takes to get it here. But yet we're so concerned about the planet. So we won't do it, but we'll support it. So what's the difference? It costs more to support it than it would be for us just to do it. It's still the same damn earth. Like if they're doing it or we're doing it, it's still going into the air. You know what I mean? So I don't get it. So
We have a huge deposit of petroleum and natural gas where I'm at, but the fucking geniuses in the state would rather export the freaking oil. And mind you, a lot of things can happen with transporting any type of petroleum product across the seas. And God forbid, let's say these guys make a mistake and do something at the port. You just contaminated the whole freaking port, the whole ecosystem of Long Beach or LA and all that kind of stuff. Why can't we
so
just do that
so if
shit
we
here?
weren't depending on if we weren't depending on that shipping to this date, how many accidents would never have taken place as far as that where whole beaches
Exactly,
and
and
stuff are wiped out
and
and all this stuff.
they're always concerned about the accidents that we can have here. But in reality, the petroleum industry has created so many freaking things when it comes to safety. And I can tell you guys because I have friends that work at Chevron, I have guys that work at Key Energy, all the local companies here that produce oil for everybody else, and they have so many things that they can improve on. They have a robust safety program, but for some reason, because of this whole fracking nonsense, they're not letting them pump oil out of California when we have a huge amount of it in our wells, and we have a huge amount of natural gas that we could use, that we can actually transport that over to the East Coast, especially in the summer and the wintertime when you guys are really hurting.
They're probably afraid you guys are gonna slide off the mainland, and not be able to pay taxes.
Hey man, the way I look at it is if I get front beachfront property, heck yeah, I'm down. But we haven't gotten to that level yet.
So I heard there's parts of California where they just got evacuated because what is it? The ground's moving like 10 inches. I don't know, a month or something like that. I don't know. It
Oh
was
yeah,
something
well
crazy.
that's by the San Andreas fault line, and those are towns that live like right on the San Andreas. Here's my thing: if you're a dumbass and you created a freaking town in the middle of one of the largest fault lines in the world, you're a dumbass. Just the way I look at it. Should never build a major metropolitan city near that, and that's exactly what's happening here. Yeah, and in reality, we've had more earthquakes this summer than we've had in the past, um, and we'll probably continue to have them because it's just the way it is. But it's part of how it is living here, man. You kind of get used to them. I mean, if it's not a freaking 4.0 or nothing like that, I'm not getting off the fucking bed. It's just you get used to it, And to some people that never experienced a earthquake, or if they once experienced an earthquake, they freak out over a 4.0, 5.0. I mean, that ain't shit to us. I'm like, whatever. Yeah, you just shook my chandelier. All right. Just shook the
Yeah,
chandelier. Just like
yeah.
you guys are.
Living in Cali, man. 4.0, you're just like, oh yeah, it's an
Yeah, 4.0,
earthquake.
that ain't
And,
shit.
and,
I
and
ain't
that's
getting up for
about
that.
I mean, you just don't even blink an eye at it. You're
Dude,
just like,
we
yeah,
we
okay, it's an
had
earthquake, whatever.
we had a 7.0 rolling earthquake. And I was watching the Dodger game. I swear to God, I remember I did a video of this on my channel, and it was a rolling. I mean, the rollings are easier. They're not so hard. The ones that are the plate shakers, those are the ones that would damage property. But we had a 7.0, man, and I'm watching the fucking Dodger game, and they're still fucking playing. Everybody's shaking, and they're like, "Oh, apparently we have an earthquake." Well, we'll continue going. 2-1 here for Hernandez. Like, what the fuck? Seriously, man, it's like people in California they trip out on stuff, man. We don't trip out on little things. Yeah, 3.2. Like, I'm not even getting up for that. Not even worth it. And it's kind of interesting that all of a sudden, like places that you never thought would get earthquakes are getting earthquakes now, like Oklahoma. I mean, there's a fault line there, but it's not really major. So it's kind of interesting how all of a sudden, like Texas had one not too long ago, Oklahoma had one, I believe. Arkansas had one too. I'm not sure, but it's just interesting.
I think we had one last year. It was about a 3.2, something like that, 3.6. I didn't
Yeah,
even notice it.
we supposedly had one last year. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't a lot, but yeah, we supposedly had one last year. Wasn't enough to feel it, so
No, but it's interesting that all of a sudden, even the Midwest is getting freaking earthquake, which is that it's weird in itself. But yeah, um, I don't know. That's kind of weird. We went from cars to earthquakes. What happened there?
I don't know. So, that's what happens on this chat, man. It goes all over the place.
I'm telling you, man. Yeah, yeah, man. But no, it's just interesting, man. I think about all the little things that happen nowadays with people, man, and all the ways that the government's trying to infringe on us. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's insane, man. The regulations and all the other crap that they put out there. Uh, all these bills that get passed that they don't read any of it. They just
No, they
pass it.
don't. No,
And
here's my thing.
they're hundreds of pages long, and half of them don't even show up to vote. They just vote from home.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't know if you noticed, but I know that one of the things that I loved about Ronald Reagan is that in many ways he was very anti woke, like very anti liberal. Like he knew eventually this shit would cause a rift in our country. And one of the things that he started talking about is how government needs to stay small and the people need to dictate what's going on within their government. And I'm telling you, the more I read, the more I learn about Ronald Reagan, man, it is mind blowing how he was thinking that way, 40 years ago. Crazy.
Yep. So Big Al's asking how I'm doing. So just a quick update for you guys. If I haven't put a video out yet because I haven't got to it, but um, basically the doctor went over the MRI earlier in the week, and even though I have a herniated disc and two bulging discs, he doesn't believe that's the source of the issue, and they're not really sure what the issue is. So at this point, I'll be going back to the physical therapist tomorrow and kind of see what he thinks. But I've been doing some research myself and think I've come up with a couple things that it could be. So we'll discuss those tomorrow with the physical therapist and see if we can come up with a plan and try and work on it and see what happens. But other than that, they're just wanting to try and do pain shots, and I'm not a big fan of that because I don't want to mask it. I want to make sure it's addressed and not just mask it up and do something stupid and make it even worse. So, yes, technically it could give me some relief for a while, but I don't want to play that game. I would rather try and do the work to fix it. So that's the plan at the moment. As far as how I'm feeling, man, I'm not too bad right now. It just sucks to sit, sucks to stand for a long time, but it is what it is. We'll get through it. Rob, you had a political question. Go ahead, brother.
All right, it might be a little off topic, but Mario speaking about Trump got me thinking about it. I guess something I've had on my mind, and I'm sure others might have too. But what do you guys think's going to happen after this election? one way or the other, what's going to happen? Are things going to be cool? Or are people going to freak the hell out?
I don't know. I'm kind of an extremist, so I'm going to say what I got to say. I think if Kamala wins, people are going to be pissed off because they're going to feel like their vote does not count, and are probably going to do things that make January 6th a fucking joke. And that's really all I could tell you.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely think there'll be huge amounts of civil unrest, like Ed was saying, and Mario was saying. And I honestly think it'll go both ways. Even if Trump gets in, I think there'll still be some civil unrest, but it won't be anywhere to the degree it would be if they cheat and steal and she gets in. There'll be a lot more if that happens. But I do believe there'll be a lot of people on the side of who they don't know who the hell they are, if they got a freaking schlong or don't got a schlong, or whatever hell fucking gender they think they are, out in the streets causing trouble if Trump gets back in.
Well, I read part of an article. I couldn't even get through the entire article. But apparently there's been this guy that has predicted the last 5 presidential elections, and his prediction is Kamala Harris. And I don't see that working at all. I don't see how that could actually even happen. There's people that are Republicans that are like, well, Trump's 80 years old. Well, yeah, but he still has his freaking head screwed on straight. Kamala is completely not screwed on straight in every way, shape, and form. She can't, again, they've got another puppet that can't read from a teleprompter, right? More or less go off of their own opinions and thoughts and what they actually plan on doing. I think it's I've also read a number of different articles that the government is preparing for mass civil unrest. And why would they be doing that? Maybe they can see that there's trouble on both sides of that fence. If it goes one way or the other, they're planning on having some mass civil unrest, but what are they truly preparing for? Is really my question, because if it goes one way, yeah, you're going to have a bunch of people out in the streets doing riots, the same shit that we've been seeing, and one side of the camp going, oh, well, they're just peaceful protesters, when they're burning fucking cities down. And then you're going to have a bunch of actual patriots on the other side of the fence, and it's a powder keg. It's scary to think of what is truly possible with what's going to happen.
So, with that being said, the best things that you can kind of do right now, if you haven't already done so, is have a plan. Get you a plan, get you somewhere you can go if something happens. Make sure you got plenty of ammo. Make sure you got your guns all set up and everything dialed in. Plenty of food and supplies on hand. You want to be set up to be ready in case something happens, and you got to either stay at home or take off and have someone you can be with that's going to have your back. But definitely get yourself prepped up and ready to go if you ain't already.
Now, you guys think, typically, people on the right for state, don't go out and really create problems. They don't burn down towns and whatnot. So typically, so you think it's gotten to the point where if that is the case, Kamala somehow, magically wins with a bunch of mystery voters or something, and everything's shut down, and they're putting cardboard up on the voting sites again, and machines are iffy, and trials are Satan, that it's definitely some sketchy stuff going on. Or hacking it right here in trial as an example, but nobody talks about it. All that type of stuff happens again. Do you think people are pushed far enough on the right where they're going to react more?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Because here's the thing, like I've already seen it. And you just got to pay attention. The media is not going to show you everything, but there are some places out there that will show you some of the information of what is happening right now. Um, and there has been evidence already of paper ballots, mail-in ballots that are already in the process of working to steal that election again. So that is out there. And YouTube, this is not misinformation, so go fuck yourself. This is actual facts. Uh, so yeah, there's already evidence out there that they're already working on it. And I definitely think if it happens, that there'll be a lot more people pissed off, and a lot more shit will happen for sure. Now, to what
Here's
extent? To what extent? I don't know, but you know,
here's the thing that I find to be the most disturbing out of all this. I think all of us know that we just want a fair election. We don't want this nonsense where we have writing paper ballots and we don't know who the hell is actually signing in on a ballot signing sheet, all this other kind of stuff. Guys, I was part of the fucking first elections in Iraq. Every one of those fucking voters had a fucking ID with them when they went in. This is a third world fucking country, man. How the fuck are we gonna let us not have an ability to show a fucking ID card to be able to vote? And why so many people are against that shit? That is the dumbest shit in the fucking world. And this is the shit that irritates me the most. And this is the shit that irritates people the most, especially all those that are conservative.
right? And it's I forget who it was, but it was the Senate or the House, but one of them shut down voter ID. Like, come on, man. You all say you want a fair election, but then you shut down voter ID. Which the states still have the right to do that. So, and in this state, we do have that. We do have voter ID in this state. You have to show ID. But of course, that doesn't solve the issue of the mail-in shit that they do and all the steal. So,
I mean, at this point, really, unless you're elderly or you're out of the state or whatever, those are the only people who should be doing fucking million ballots. Everybody else needs to take their happy ass over there and fill in a ballot box, just like it was before this whole thing happened with COVID shit. Because if you stop and think about it, the mail-in ballots before, it was a very small percentage of voters. Majority of them would actually show to the polls and actually cast their votes.
yeah. And I heard the last time, and a few times over the years and past years, military usually they're doing the mail-in thing as well. I heard a lot of times that gets messed up for them as well.
Yeah, we usually get our mail-in ballots like a month and a half before the actual election happens. Because I remember I did vote a couple of times when I was overseas, but in most cases with us, we usually get them way ahead of time. So we do have a cutoff when we need to have them in because they actually have to go back to get processed and all that. But usually, most mail-in ballots for us for the military, we usually get them like a month and a half before the actual election.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good question, Rob. Yeah, it's not going to end well, regardless. I don't think. I think there's going to be issues no matter what.
Yeah, and for the record, I agree. I think there's going to be issues no matter what. I don't know the the levels or extremes of the issues, but I definitely think it's going to be issues. And it
I just
also
think.
brings. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, brother. Sorry, I mean to cut you off.
I was going to say it also brings the question that everybody dances around and we're scared to ask. And obviously, with stating this or bringing this up, I'm not trying to encourage anything or anything like this. It's just a question. At what point are the American people justified to stand up, against the government? I'm not saying necessarily with arms, but I'm just stating stand up against the government and say no, we're not doing this. By the Constitution, at what point are we legally there? You know, Obviously we've tried the voting, we've tried getting voting fixed. If it does occur that it's a problem, if there is, it does continue to be very debatable, and they won't take any steps towards being more transparent with it, doing it in a manner that everybody can be happy with because it's better for both sides. So we can just exclude this from the equation and get back to the facts, folks. If they're not willing to do that, where's that, you know, not saying where's the line 100%, but, at what point are the people actually justified? And, I don't know. I guess I'll just leave it there. So, yeah, obviously you're not obligated to answer, but you see where I'm going.
No, I just think that at the level that it's been right now, to the point that we have high inflation, there's people are losing their jobs. The cost of living has just gone through the roof. There's less transparency where, it seems to me like like our sources of information are very biased. It's not it's not a it's not like a Walter Cronkite type of journalism anymore, like where, and I'm not saying Walter Cronkite was like some great journalist, but the thing about him is that he would just put it out in a very non-biased way, and he'll be like, hey, this is what it is, and you guys can determine what you think is best or what your opinion is. But now it's like it's left versus right, you know, and it's and it gets to a point where everybody has to pick sides. We don't have a thing where we can come up with a resolution and a happy medium where everybody's happy.
Well,
The
the problem there is they want you to think it's left versus right. It shouldn't be that way, and
Yeah.
but they want you to think that, and they want us against each other. They want there to be trouble. To what extent they want that, I don't know, but that's what they want. They want us going at each other and being distracted by that. That's the thing. It's one giant big distraction.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and in reality, it's just it's creating a greater division to the point that we can't even have a civil conversation because one or the other is getting testy or defensive, and it's never been to a point that we couldn't talk things over. It's just now it just seems to me like it's either you're right or you're wrong, or you can't be in between, or if for some reason you speak up and you're against what the mainstream media is for, you're a bigot, you're a racist, whatever the hell they may be. It's getting stupid, and it's getting to a point where people are just tired of it, and
Oh,
people are
and
just tired
it's
of the
not even
division.
just mainstream media. It's on here too.
Oh yeah.
We've had so many shows pulled just for talking about this stuff,
Yeah.
and it gets nutty.
Yeah,
They're
so if it gets to a point that we can't even have freedom of speech, then here's my thing: if we can't use this platform to speak our mind or whatever, there's other platforms that people are going to use, and and in some cases they're not going to be nice about it. I think the biggest thing with the right compared to the left is that I think you need to be a little more fucking concerned about the right, especially the extreme right, because these motherfuckers don't give a fuck. And we all know who they are. We all know what they're capable of. And we all know that in many ways, unfortunately, we're all going to get stuck as part of that whole group. And when I told you so comes, and you poke the bear a little too much and it comes and bites you in the ass, then it is what it is. And the thing about it is we're all going to have to take a bite of the shit sandwich because of it. Because when it gets to those points where the extreme right would do things, it's not going to be justified for a lot of people. And
Well,
honestly,
one of the bigger issues that we see, and we've seen it a lot over the last few years, has been the FBI infiltrating all these different rallies and shit like that and causing problems and inciting that problem.
right. And and it goes back to the thing. Like yesterday, I went to the gun range, and the manager of the gun gun range is one of my soldiers, a good friend of mine. And he was kind of like telling me, "Hey, man, I've had the FBI here a couple of times because they're checking on people," and I'm like, "What do you mean they're checking up on people? And you guys?" And goes, "No, it's just some of the people that come in here to shoot." And I'm like, "What the hell?" And he didn't go too much into detail, but it seems to me that the FBI is already tracking certain people that shouldn't be here. And of course, me sometimes I kind of get a little too nosy and ask a lot more questions, because he says that there's times where he has people that could barely speak a lick of English, but many of them have really nice guns. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah, I'm talking about. Yeah, and then goes, are these guys like Hispanic? Like, no. These guys are like Chinese and Indian and some other fucking countries that they never heard of before. So and it goes back to the same thing, but we're talking about the border. And the border, when the shit has been wide open the way it is, especially being in a border state like we are, I would never in my lifetime ever think that the FBI would be tracking people. Because I mean, I don't live in an area that's known for violence or anything like that. But it kind of opens up your eyes to think that somehow the FBI is tracking people that are over there learning how to shoot a gun. And it kind of reminds me of the whole Mumbai attack. If you guys don't know what the Mumbai attack is, it's basically 10 or 11 motherfuckers with AKs, and they went out there and just shot the shit out of everybody in Mumbai, which is one of the major cities in India. And I got a feeling that most likely will end up happening here.
Well,
So
and one of the biggest things that happened over the years that has really instigated the FBI and all that on the homeland front is the Patriot Act. When they passed that, they basically legalized spying on U.S. citizens. Now, they were probably doing it prior, but they legalized it.
yeah, oh, absolutely. And I mean, to a certain point, it is what it is. I mean, they used that as an opportunity for them to do what they did, but you notice that shit never went away. It always somehow stayed in the system, and somehow it's still part of the system, and of course, the FBI and all these law enforcement agencies can check on anybody without really needing a law a what do you call it, a warrant. So yeah, but it's just kind of that whole conversation I had with my friend yesterday really kind of sparked like some thinking, like, what the hell's going on around here, man?
Right. And the other thing people got to remember, you guys need to remember that they legalize propaganda. So basically, they legalize lying to you.
Yeah,
Very
absolutely.
true. Yeah, it's kind of one of the things I bicker about is how people bitch back and forth over an issue, but most of the times those people got their information second, third, fourth hand. It was told to them by somebody else, but yet they're willing to kill each other over it online. Like people got to relax a little bit. Sometimes we're getting played.
Right. And the other, like this comment right here from Chessboard, it's sad when illegals are being treated better than our own veterans. That's really fucking sad.
Oh, believe me, I've
Here,
seen that shit firsthand here in California, man. When basically they took a veteran housing area and pretty much kicked out all of the veterans that were in there, and they put it for so they could house a bunch of illegal aliens. I'm like, that's bullshit.
Right. And there's already enough homeless veterans as it is. They did the same shit in New York. I've seen that in New York as well. They did a whole bunch of that shit. And then obviously the hotels bullshit they did over there as well, and the credit cards and all that crap. But yeah, it's just insane. So let's address the other elephant in the room. This past week, obviously, we've seen a few school shootings happen. And YouTube again. This is all stuff that's been out there that's proven, so it's not bullshit or fake news or any of that crap. So don't be trying to fricking strike us again or any of that shit. But the one thing that you're not hearing a lot about is the one where a school, what the hell do they call it? I forget what the guy's called. But one of the guys was an armed. Yeah. And he took care of the issue real fast. So, but you don't hear about that. You only hear about the other ones. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, the school resource officer. Yeah. So
yeah,
he was armed and he took care of it. And that was, he saved a lot of lives. But
definitely get on. Sorry, go ahead.
Like, you're good, brother. Go ahead.
I was saying it's definitely get on him. I mean, in my opinion, that shows why we should have guns in school. The whole resource officer thing, that's debatable. I think in the past I've made my statement. I don't like the idea of police in schools, but I do like the idea of armed individuals in schools, whether security or whatever. So I don't think every little altercation needs to lead to a police record and drugs and psychologists and all this shit in school. That's part of the problem, in my opinion. People should get punched in the face at a young age so they realize not to be a dick as an adult. So, anyway, that's a long story, but uh, I'm all for guns in schools for that reason, with armed security or something like that. So it's a good thing, and they should be bringing it up, because that's what's
Absolutely.
going to happen. It's not going to be hiding behind a damn textbook or throwing rocks or begging or pleading. It's going to take action. So, and it does, as soon as somebody starts, that's an action. So you're reacting. So you're already behind the ball. Waiting for somebody to show up is a bad idea.
Yep. And I another thing that I saw too was a couple of these schools had an electronic system to notify. So literally within a couple of minutes of it starting, the police was already notified. So doesn't mean they're going to do their job the way they're supposed to, but it's a good system to have, and that should be something that is paid for either by the state or by the government for every damn school.
I think it was smart as well. I don't know if people heard, but reports are he got up during second period to go to the bathroom, go get something. I don't know. The class, somebody in there felt kind of sketchy about it, automatically locked the doors. So the kid, whatever, never even made it back to the class he intended on going back to, so that was smart on them for locking the doors. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Yep.
There
And that's
must
the
have
other
been
that's the
some
other thing
kind
of
of
it too. That's the other thing of it too is, it's sad that we're in this place where we have to have this kind of stuff, but they should all have a plan. Have a plan of action so everyone knows what's going on. And, just like you said, they locked the doors, and that saved a lot too.
It's all about situational awareness, man. I think a lot of kids need to start opening their eyes and get off the damn computer and the phone and really look at their surroundings and what they're doing, because that's exactly how they're going to save their lives.
Yep, absolutely.
I think the dad in that case really screwed up, man. From the information I've heard, he screwed up. I mean, the FBI comes to my house to talk about threats made, over online or whatever with my kid and this and that. And I got guns laying around. I'm going to take that seriously.
Right. Well, and
How this kid just ends up taking a gun to school after the FBI showed up at your house. Like,
well, and this was a year later. A year
yeah,
later, and it was the same in another one of them. Another one of them was the same thing. He'd been making threats for over 2 years online.
okay. Yeah, I just think that's crazy. Like, as a parent, whether you trust your child or not, you know, if they got issues, they got issues, man. Like you gotta, I don't know, you gotta be safe about things. So, in some cases,
Well,
so
he's
especially
going to
with
be
children,
somebody's sweet ass in the fucking prison, as I can say.
yeah, that's crazy, man. And then when
I was like,
you
Yeah,
hear
he's
the
looking
record
at.
of the household, all the drugs and between the police reports, drugs, all types of shit going on with the parents. I'm kind of surprised that he was even allowed to have firearms.
Yeah, he's looking at 180 years. He's got like 24 charges. He's looking at like
yeah,
180 years.
yeah, he's going to be somebody's bitch in prison, so I can say.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, it's just crazy, man. But I just wanted to bring it up because we did have that one where the SRO took care of it. So and I think it's an important thing to talk about because we need that in more schools, and we need or if the teachers want to be armed, again, I'm all for it, man. It all comes down to training and situational awareness, just like you were saying, man, Barrio. These things are important. We have to
But
protect our kids.
the one aspect that I never hear about, I never hear middle school or elementary schools really having much security. Usually the high schools do, but you look at the elementaries, and the elementaries are the ones that have had the most damage, when it comes to gun shooting. The whole thing that happened in Uvalde, I believe that was an elementary school. The thing that happened at Sandy, what was it? Sandy Hook
Sandy
was
Hook.
an element. Yeah, it was an elementary school. So why is it that we're not protecting elementary schools and middle schools? Those are they're so vulnerable, man, to all this stuff. It's ridiculous.
Well, and the other part of it too, we're talking about elections, is it only ever really happens during an election year. It's the same. It's the same shit every time, and it really needs to be talked about as well because it literally is the same shit every time. It's always during an election year.
But
Does anybody know
go
what
ahead, bro.
the mom, was she living in the house too with these people, the dad and the son? Because from my
Yeah.
understanding, they were. So if that's the case, then why wasn't the mother charged as well?
What
Yeah, I
I've
believe.
heard lately is that she actually called the school and warned them before it happened.
Yeah, she called the school about an hour beforehand and warned them to go check on them. I'm not familiar with the conversation of what was said. I've seen mixed
Okay.
reports on it, but she called about an hour prior to warn them.
All right. I'm just kind of curious in a sense because, you would think she would share responsibility being, half responsible for this child in the house. Sure, the father might bought it under his name, but the mother could have said no. The mother could have locked it up herself. Doesn't she hold some responsibility to this as well if they're going to start charging parents? Or
I
is
don't
it
think
just the
that
guy
was
that's going to get screwed out?
I don't think that was an option in her household, if you understand what I'm saying. I don't think she had the.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think she was a felon and he wasn't, but my understanding they all lived together. But maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I know there'd
And
been
even that
several.
right there could be a conflict.
I know there'd been several separations going on in that household. I think there's Anna Lee Brown. I think she, the mother, had drug charges against her, and I don't understand um, all the the dynamics in that household were extreme. She would call the law to her husband would call the law to her, and all this, that, and the other. I mean, it was a mess. And the kid that did the shooting, he was bullied because he was homosexual or thought he was or whatever. And yeah, it's important that I mean, but there's no ladies on the panel. We've got ladies in the side chat. Thank goodness Anna Lee is out there and Abigail's out there. But it's important that we as men are the head of our household and set an example of how our children are supposed to conduct themselves in their daily lives. And you can dance around it all you want to, but where the rubber meets the road, if dads were in the household and if dads were being dads, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. And if you look back into I'd say the post World War II era or post World War One, maybe the news coverage wasn't as such. Maybe things happened that we don't know about that weren't reported or whatever. But you don't read about crap like that going on up until probably the 90s, 80s or 90s. I don't understand what has.
So one of the big things that's changed since that time, and Rob kind of mentioned it a little bit earlier, was something happened, you open your mouth, you got an ass whooping,
Right?
And that doesn't happen these days anymore. You throw fists or whatever, and there's all kinds of bullshit that happens. One of the biggest issues that we've seen over the last 20 plus years has been the bullshit of ADHD and Adderall. Look at all these kids that are on freaking Adderall. ADHD is a bullshit thing. It's your kid has a lot of things to do and keep him busy. It's not a give him fucking drugs and hope he's okay.
Yeah.
But that's what they want. They've loaded them up on drugs, and once you're in that situation, it's hard to get them off of that, and they have all kinds of problems because of it.
What do you think they do with veterans, bro? What do you think the VA does to us? They throw so much freaking meds at us. I throw like freaking 6-7 bottles of medicine that I don't even fucking use anymore, and the VA keeps sending me more shit, and I keep telling them, stop sending me this crap. Yep. I don't use none of that stuff because what they want is they want a zombie. They want somebody who doesn't think anymore, so that I can continue putting more claims on their ass. It's all that shit.
Yep, absolutely.
That's right.
Yeah, that's absolutely, man. And it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. It's instead of actually trying to focus on the problem itself, it's just load them all up on drugs. And I've said this many, many times. There's a big problem with the health system, not just here, and a lot of countries. But the big one here is when you have companies literally on TV with sponsored ads. That's a fucking problem. You know, every other ad you see, sponsored by Pfizer, Moderna, this, that, the other. Bullshit. Why is it sponsored? It shouldn't be fucking sponsored or brought to you by or all this other shit. Shouldn't be that way.
Uncle Jim has a great point. And see, I went through that with my son. They wanted my son on, I think it was Adderall. Said he had ADHD and they had put him through the test. I said, you didn't ask me if you could put him through any test. And so I had to go down there and I went down there and I said, it seems to me like the problem with you and my son is that he's not acting the way you want him to. And I said, if you got a problem with him, you need to call me and I can take off long enough at work to come over here and whoop his ass right here in the school. I said, I don't have a problem with that. But you wanting to drug my son, that's a problem to me. And his teacher.
And you brought up an excellent point too. And not to cut you off, man. I don't mean to cut you off, but you brought up an excellent point of they're doing tests without your knowledge. They're doing all these different things, and it happens a lot. And you'll see it a lot more of with all this diversity, inclusion, and all that bullshit. They're doing a lot of different things, pulling these kids into the office and asking them all these different questions about their gender and all this other shit without your knowledge.
Yeah. But the teacher, the first words out of her mouth after I said that, she said, it's always the dads that resist. I'm like, it's always the dads that resist.
Yeah, you should have said it's always the females that want to go easy.
Well, they don't want, just like Jamie was talking about earlier, they don't want the man to be the head of the household anymore. They want you to bend over backwards.
Yeah, they don't want real fathers. They don't want you laying down the law and, expecting, or, you having consequences for not doing something or this or that. So they just want yes men that are walking ATMs, basically, like on TV. That's what they expect from you. So if you vary from that, you'll get visits from CPS. But, don't be scared of that. Hold your ground, and if you're not doing, anything major, it won't be a problem.
Yes, I've been through that, and praise the Lord, my son didn't grow up to shoot up the school. And y'all made a reference earlier about not protecting middle schools. I want you to think back to when you were 12 and 13 and 14 years old. And think about how you behaved and think about what was going through your mind at that particular time of your life. And then reconsider that question.
Yeah. And Uncle Jim brings up a great point about dinner at the table. And it's been a couple of years, but me and Daniel did a video on that too, where, breaking bread at the table. It just doesn't happen anymore. They're always, again, he brought up another comment back a little further back, but, sitting there on phones and all the other shit.
Well, I think people are scared. Like, a lot of people know right from wrong, especially the older people. You go out to eat, you look around, you'll see a table, the whole family's out. If you look at the people and you read them, a lot of times you'll see the older people are disappointed when the kid's standing up, chewing with his mouth open, acting like an idiot. They don't say anything because they don't want to stand out. They don't want to be excluded from the family. They want everybody to be happy, And it's kind of sad, but it's the same thing with a lot of young parents. They don't want to, actually discipline their kid because then, oh my gosh, you might get in trouble. You can't do that. Well, legally you can, but it's how you do it, but they just, it's against the norm. So we're just going down the shitter, and then we get kids like this, the one disappointment or something, every little thing's the end of the world, and they want to go unjustifiably raise hell on innocent people. because
Right.
they've never
It
told
it
them.
doesn't necessarily.
great.
You don't necessarily have to do things with violence. You two, I get this. Okay, so kid pulls out his phone when I'm sitting at the table with them. They're 15 years old, we'll say, and they pull out their phone, and we're out at dinner. Excuse me, do you want to pay for this dinner? Then put your fucking phone away. Because
If they
you want to
keep
be on your
doing it,
phone, you
maybe
can be
take
on
their
your phone, and that's fine. But we're all going to get up, and you're going to be responsible for this bill.
or
Yeah,
take their phone away.
that gets some teenagers to put their phones away.
I think people are
But
afraid
you have to
of
actually
not being hard.
do it. You have to follow through, and you absolutely have to follow through. Parents used to be able to follow through. There were so many different rules, laws that were created that made it to where parents didn't follow through. There was those hollow promises that you always heard from one of your parents is that, I'm going to do this, but you heard that same thing from another parent, and you knew they meant it because
No,
they'd done it before.
all they had to do was give you a look, and you shut the hell up. Because of the last time you didn't, and you actually got your ass whooped right there in front of everybody. So once you know they will, they don't do it anymore. It's pretty simple.
So
But
one of the funniest things growing up working on the farm was watching Mick with his kids, and he had a couple kids. I forget their names, but they would say something. He would turn around, look at them, and just like you said, immediately they would just shut their mouths, and they knew what was coming if they'd said another word.
That's all it takes. Like if you start that young, it doesn't have to be crazy. Young, you give them a pat on the butt, it hurts their pride. You're not hurting them. You know what I mean? Like literally, Start young, it ain't a problem. You'll probably get challenged at 12 or 13. You lay it down pretty rough, legal, but you're not taking their shit. I don't care what your friends' parents are doing. You're not walking around with your ass hanging out or whatever it may be. You lay down the goddamn law, and they know you're willing to do it. So that's different than parents saying, you don't knock it off, I'm going to stick my foot up your ass, because you're not really going to do it. So don't talk a bunch of shit. Don't say something you're not going to back up. That's very important. So I'm totally with that. I don't know. I've raised a bunch of kids, and I've been a hard ass, and they don't really like me for it. So, maybe that's another problem. Everybody wants to be a friend, but you're not a friend. You're a parent. Maybe you'll be lucky and be friends, but you're a damn parent. You got a job to do.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's consuming. That is your job. If you brought kids into the world, you owe it to them, to yourself, and to society to turn them into decent human beings when they grow up.
Exactly. That's my goal. As long as you're decent, I don't care. You could be happy working at a grocery store or something. If you can pay your bills, survive, and you're a decent individual, I'll be proud of you. But you got to be a decent individual.
Even though I was doing something relatively indecent in order to create you, I'm gonna raise you to be more decent. Yep.
That's not indecent. Sex is natural, man. That's the way of life. Procreation. Without sex, we wouldn't even be here. Come on now.
If it isn't slightly indecent, you're not having enough fun.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Back in the day, it was always outside, running around outside, on the bike, whatever it may be. Nowadays, they're all sitting playing computer video games.
Which is very unhealthy. That's why, the average kid's out of shape. The average American's out of shape. You know, people can't run around the block. Physical fitness tests, people suck. Like, you know, they want to lower standards for everything, including the military, because people have gotten lazy. Like, you look back at like the 50s, 60s at people, it's a total different story. You know, I guess food wasn't so easy to get or something. I don't know. But the average person was a hell of a lot more fit than we are today. And honestly,
Well,
it's kind of
well,
bad feeds the medical system. Yeah.
well, and that's part of the issue again with the medical system. It's all done by design. Same with the food industry. And the food industry, for those of you who don't know, most of the food industry is owned by tobacco companies, and they bought them out many years ago. I forget exactly how long ago it's been, but it's been quite a while. I think it was back in the 90s. And if you look at back in the 50s, for example, the health versus today, we have so many more issues today, and it's all because of food. All the food they feed you, all the shit that's in there is all poison. They put all kinds of crap in there that's literally killing your body. You look at cancer rates, for example. Cancer rates were way less than they are today, and it's all because of shit they put in the food.
Yeah, I don't know. They, you know, they always want to, you know, treat the symptoms or whatever, mitigate it, pain management. Kind of like you brought up before. You want to deal with the problem. You don't want to get addicted to shit and this and all this, you know, and manage the pain. You want to fix it. They don't want to do that. You know, they don't want to cure anything. They just want to sell you a bunch of shit. And then another pill when that first pill makes you feel bad or shit too much. Then they got another pill for this one. So yeah, it's like a never ending cycle. I can
Right.
state,
Well,
you
and
know, most of the
that
people I know who go to the doctors and take everything they roll out are damn near zombies now. Like, and they're medical bitches. Like they're addicted to the system. The doctors, they go to it twice a month, 3 times a month, or whatever. Now, in some cases, yes, that's required. But every time you get a little pain or an ache, you know, that's life. You know, when you sit on your ass all day and actually work or do something or move, you're gonna get sore. That's life. Keep pushing. Next time you won't
yep.
be so sore.
So one of the big issues that people seem to ignore is the FDA. When it says FDA approved, well, if it's approved by the FDA, all that means is it has side effects. So they can give you something else to treat those side effects and something else to treat those side effects. Just like you said, and get you hooked on all this shit. It's not good for business if it doesn't have side effects.
Yeah. It's profitable to have you continuously coming back.
They, you know, and so we hear a lot of this. Oh, well, this is healthy for you. This is healthy for you. That's healthy for you. Just recently, people are dying from almond milk. You know, this is supposed to be the healthy alternative to cow's milk, but people are dying from tainted almond milk.
Still don't understand how the hell you're
Yeah,
getting milk out of
fact
almonds.
check that, YouTube. Go ahead, fact check that, YouTube.
Some girl in San Jose is like, "Oh my God, I'm totally gonna do it." Okay, because you are putting lies out there in the YouTube world. Oh my God.
All right.
Y'all know this guy, and there's when this many folks are sitting around having a conversation, there's generally one guy that's got his phone out and he's fact checking every dang thing you say. Okay, and whereas that may be helpful in some situations, it's not a good way to make friends and influence people. It gets tired after a while. It does. So, there.
All right, we've had a really good chat. Lots of good conversation, lots of good different topics back and forth. So that was awesome. Let's start going through the room. Battle Bean, what you got, brother?
Oh, I don't have much, man. I just gonna start reloading now that the weather is actually getting nice and cool. With just cleaning up my presses and get going, and hopefully get some. Got a couple interviews lined up for my podcast, so hopefully get those done soon, and we can edit them and put them out to the masses so they can check them out. So that's pretty much all I got. Thanks for the invite, brother. Like always, appreciate you.
Awesome, man. And just for folks out there, remind them what your podcast is.
Yeah, my podcast is called Veterans Point of View. It is pretty much on all the platforms. It's on Apple. It's on uh, pretty much all the major podcast areas have it. So right now we got about 6 episodes. So we're gonna start working on some more. I've been really super busy at work, so I haven't had a chance to do it. But I am gonna start interviewing more veterans. Just kind of let them know about their life story and what they're all about, and how they ended up being who they are and what they've done in their military career and their civilian career. So just a good conversation and just getting to know people and just it's going to be a good podcast for those that have long drives. Just want to listen to some good conversation. We'll definitely do that. So appreciate you.
Awesome, man. Heck yeah. Look forward to it. Rob, what you got, brother?
Not much. Just thanks for the invite, and thanks for all the cool people that showed up here on the chat, in the chat. Always makes it good, interesting, and if we're gonna have conversations like this, it's always good to have it with you people. So, other than that, keep your head down, keep pushing, dodge the landmines, and don't take no shit.
There you go. Well said. Well said. Jamie, what you got, brother?
Good conversation tonight, brisk conversation. I have a challenge. We got the election coming up in November. Go see how many times you're able to vote in your state and come report back to us after the election. Don't get arrested, but anyway. Friday night's 8 o'clock, Georgia Shooting Connection channel. I hope to get a couple of videos out. I'm way behind. And thanks for having me, guys. Always fun on Sunday nights with you guys.
Absolutely. Always good to have you, man. Appreciate you. Yeah, we had lots of good conversation. Lots of good people out there in the side chat. Appreciate everyone out there. Alan, take us out right, brother.
Absolutely great conversations, great panel. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you all for showing up out in the side chat. It was a vigorous conversation out there. Might have got a little heated here and there, but it's just conversation. Everybody's all good. Keep an eye out for the 72-part series that I'm going to release on YouTube of how to properly use a fork. So if you're fork challenged, 72 episodes, and I'll show you all the proper ways to use a fork. Other than that, keep an eye out for my book, Astrophysics for Antisocials. It'll be somewhere in any of your Dollar General stores probably shortly. Along with that, I do want to remind you to keep them magazines loaded and one in the chamber. Woo!